Here is the breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, inside the country and around the globe. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I'll be your host, and I have a very terrific panel today. I have Major Nasir with me. He is a very famous and very vocal regarding the military. And on Odessa reportedly injured 5 people, including 2. I have more breaking news. US airstrikes reportedly delayed Iran's nuclear program. And regarding this, our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantha will have so much of input. And there is another breakthrough. North Korean leader is sending 30,000 troops for Russia to do war against Ukraine. These are the breaking news today. Let me ask our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho first. You see so many diversification in the world top headlines, and trending is war, decisions, mediation, negotiations, ceasefire. What you gonna say and what you gonna pick?
Well, thank you, Mr. Kanchan. Of course, a very warm welcome to retired Major Dr. Nasiruddin Ahmed, and good afternoon to our viewers. Actually, the world is reeling from what we call wars in various fronts. War has become the norm, I would say, in 2025. And of course, you mentioned that as a historical first, Hamas is now seeking to consider a ceasefire. Of course, the mediators in this case would be Egypt and Qatar. In other news as well, the Dalai Lama is also looking for someone to succeed his position as well, and North Korea and Russia seem to be pairing up against the entire NATO bloc. We've seen earlier in the week that Kim Jong-un, leader of the DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, he was seen weeping over the loss of North Korean soldiers in the Ukraine-Russia war. And according to the media report, 30,000 troops will be now replaced again in fighting this war as well.
Do you think Russia is feeling crisis of their own soldiers? That's why they are calling mercenaries?
Well, I mean, in addition, yes, of course, they are calling mercenaries. Even some of our country, we've seen they were trying to look for prospective job apparatus abroad. However, given the circumstances, it was, of course, illegal immigration. And they landed themselves, almost about 4 or 5 people landed themselves in the front lines of the Ukraine-Russia war. So how the human aspect or the military personnel recruitment and positioning into the Russia-Ukraine war definitely has seen a turn as well. We've seen people who are illegal immigrants or prospering to be illegal immigrants also join in this war. So it's safe to say that the Russia military machine is working in a very conventional style, which is of course to take on the NATO alliance as well.
Let me go to the military analyst. Do you think this kind of a step by North Korea is actually giving the world an indication that Russia-Ukraine war will be prolonged and it will be a very long time war? Is this the indication that other countries are going to be engaged with Russia?
Thank you, Kanchan, and very warm greetings to my dear viewers. At the outset, I shall remember 2 incidents from the military history before answering your question. Today, 3rd July is the date when the Battle of Gettysburg was ended, which caused 50,000 plus casualties in America, and that was a turning point in the American Civil War. And at the same time, in 2013, on this particular day, you can say the dictator of the Egypt, Morsi, he was removed by another military coup, you can say, or military drama.
General Sisi, Fattah Sisi.
Yes. So as a student of military science, with remembering these 2 incidents, I will come down to the war, what is going on in Ukraine right at this time, and the war. There is this development, as you have indicated, that troops are coming from other countries to augment the Russian forces. You know, in Russia, there was mercenary forces from the beginning of the war. They have their own army, there is no doubt in it, which is very capable, and we have seen many of them successfully campaigning in adverse situation like in Afghanistan and other desert countries also. but at the same time in their own country there are some disadvantages as well, because Russians, they have ties with the Ukrainian people, their language, their religion, their bonding, family.
Almost same culture.
Friends, yes, culture. So everywhere there is a link. So whenever there is a link between the two armies, that's a disadvantage for the war game planner to go ahead with the military of their own.
Very good
So
clue.
that is the reason for which probably Russia is looking for armies from the other countries, and as Mr. Partha has rightly said, there are few Bangladeshi people also, that's people from this subcontinent, those who are enthusiastic to join this war. In fact, not only to join the war, to get some change in their life, to change their financial capacity, to do something outside. So all sorts of ventures are invested so that they can do and change their lifestyle.
Do you think going to the war field to change, to go for a better life is a good idea?
It depends. It depends. Because you know that at times people decide to commit suicide because they think that that is the better idea than that of living in this agony, in this condition.
We will come back. We will come back. Mr. Norman Flatbarnes is joining from Washington, D.C. Mr. Norman, welcome and good morning, because in Washington Eastern Standard Time is 4 a.m. in the morning. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm for good journalism and contribution to SATV. I want to start with you with the internal and domestic politics of United States of America. House Republicans remain divided on Trump's sweeping tax and spend mega bill and expanded immigration enforcement. This is one subject which is a top news trending in United States media. I have seen it in Fox, ABC, MSNBC, CNN and other news networks. A federal judge blocked Trump's asylum ban, refuting the administration's attempt to limit claims from those crossing illegal. This is very important because America itself an immigrant country. Mr. Norman, what is your comment on these two particular issues? One is House Republicans remain divided, another one is federal judge blocked Trump's asylum ban.
Good morning from Washington, D.C. again. Today, the third day of July, the House is still, actually the House and the Congress still going over the big, beautiful bill. How they're going to get it approved and on the desk of the president by the 4th of July this week. The issue with immigration, part of this bill, the funds are being supplied to increase enforcement of immigration. It is something that the administration harped on when they initially started, that the country wants to stop the influx of illegal immigrants. A large amount of this funding is going to go towards that act. At the same time, Congress is still fighting with the issue of how do we balance the funding for the military globally? How do we provide the funding necessary for the immigration? And at the same time, we have healthcare. Healthcare, and a lot of people is going to be losing services. So right now, the conflict is right now, the Republicans, the Democrats, the left wing, the right wing, the Democrats, Republicans are now fighting over this issue of how are we going to do this. There's political implications to this. The president has spoken that if you don't go the way that we want you to go, there will be issues with you holding your office, political stuff. At the same time, the people are also stating that if we suffer, you will suffer too, meaning your position will be challenged. So there's a lot of stuff at stake right now between the next 24 hours, and people have to make some hard decisions.
What about the House Republicans still remain divided on Trump's sweeping tax and spend mega bill and expanded immigration enforcement. Do you think that Republicans are truly divided in both the houses, in Senate and in Congress?
There's a conflict. Yes, the Republican wants to please the president. At the same time, they want to hold their office. The people are saying, hey, you have to make a decision. We don't like this issue. The immigration plan, the enforcement is something that is being pushed back by the cities, the people. They feel like they're being unfairly treated. And this is another issue that we are dealing with daily.
Mr. Norman, when I'll be coming back to you, I'll just ask for your opinion regarding the ability of Donald Trump to manage Hamas leaders to come for a ceasefire with Israel, because this will be a huge breakthrough in the Middle East. This is the only conflict is going on. IDF is firing Hamas. Hamas has gone to be agreed to go for a ceasefire. This will be a big debate today in our second part, and I'll come back to you. Now let me go to our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto, who is studying really hard on the international affairs. My question is to Russia's airstrike on Odessa. Odessa is a port city. Most of the business of Ukrainian with the world operated in Odessa. Now Russia is targeting Odessa. What do you think? Russia is trying to bring Ukraine on a table to talk about the sharing of Odessa port or something like else. What you think? What is in your consideration?
Well, nearby Odessa is also Crimea as well, and that has been annexed by the Russian forces. The news report says that 2 children among 5 injured in Russia's air attack on Odessa had passed away. So definitely to show that the Russian offensive is nowhere slowing down. At this moment, of course, Odessa is like a port city, and as history says that Ukraine is a country that was very dependent on its grain export to all the other nations out there. So an attack on Odessa is a strategic attack on the side of Russia. This is definitely to cripple whatever there is left of the Ukrainian territory. Also, earlier in this week, we've seen the Russian state media claiming that they have complete control over the Luhansk region.
Yes.
Even previously we've said that they have conceded almost 20% of their land territory, which is growing on a daily basis. The war between Ukraine and Russia is nowhere near a ceasefire as of yet, even though Donald Trump and his entire administration is thinking about a ceasefire, while on the sidelines the European Union and all the other NATO countries are increasing their military budget, understanding the threat that Russia poses.
This is a very good question. I want to come to Dr. Nasir, who has a military study, military career, military experience. My question would be, see, we have seen the conflict between India and Pakistan. It has gone to the deep freeze in 4 days. We have seen the Israel and Iran conflict, and it is also has gone to the deep freeze in 12 days by the interference of the United States President Mr. Donald Trump. But why 3 years a war is going on in a civilized zone like Europe by Russia and Ukraine? Ukrainian leader seems a little bit less important in the NATO table. What's going on?
It's quite surprising that whenever there was first bell of the war was rang, someone commented that maybe that is the bell for the even Third World War, that there will be huge war, the European Union will take the side of Ukraine, and Russia being a giant country with atomic energy and others, everywhere there will be a huge crisis. And as Mr. Partha has rightly said, that Ukraine, it is termed as the breakfast basket for many countries, like especially the countries of Middle East, where it's a desert country. So food grains are the main important thing that goes from Ukraine to Middle East, and at the same time energy, especially the gas of Ukraine, is exported in different European countries. So there was a possibility that the entire Middle East and also the entire European Union, they will be in favor of the Ukraine, and again Russia will show its big brotherly attitude, and there will be a huge war between these two countries. And as again I claim myself to be the student of a military history, I being a country of a small country surrounded by a big country, I was very much interested about seeing how the battle between these two countries develops. Ukraine being a small country with, compared to Russia, very less military power and military strength, how they are reacting and how the international community is taking the side of this particular small country. And surprisingly, as you have rightly said, once the negotiations started, once the war continued, this is the third year plus going on now, so we see that the game is quite different now. There are many stakeholders, they have joined here, and chronologically war is prolonging, and right at today there is no sign of immediate ceasefire. So something going on over the table between America, Ukraine, USA, Russia and the European Union, but everybody is very much adamant at their own bargaining points. That's why probably the war is continuing, and the Ukraine as a small country is paying for that.
May I ask you a question from my personal curiosity? You know, a KGB guy who was posted in Berlin, he came back to Russia, he became the mayor of St. Petersburg. Later, Boris Yeltsin got confidence on him, has seen his talents, made him as the vice president, and silently in a midnight he became the president of Russia.
Yeah.
Now he is the commander-in-chief.
Yes.
He doesn't look like other presidents of other world leaders.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't use any social media, he doesn't watch television, he doesn't use mobile phone, but he is a very successful and popular Russian leader.
Yes.
Do you think he is directing the Russia into the right path, or he is making Russia dangerous because strong NATO is there, right?
Yeah. So, it is very difficult to comment right at this moment, because history is a chronological process. Who has done what betterment for the country or who has damaged the country, history will assess it at the end of certain periods, even certain centuries. The breaking of Russia, that how the communism was changed in a new shape back in the 90s and periods like that. That time probably there was a huge controversy that whether the Russia is in right direction or not, whether such America is becoming the unipolar power, entire world is being now under control of one single entity, whether it will be a success or not, whether Russia is going to. We have seen Russian troops in Middle East during the Gulf War, and we felt pity for them, because we are smarter than that of Russian soldiers.
Yes.
That was the condition during the Gulf War.
That's a very articulated description about Mr. Putin's Russia. Control, please bring Mr. Norman on the line. As I said before, I was going to our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto. I said that I will ask a question to Mr. Norman, that Hamas is showing their interest to be agreed by the ceasefire terms and conditions by the mediator country Egypt and Qatar. United States President seems to be very happy on this signal from Hamas. Yesterday we were discussing, is it actually a true ceasefire or giving a time to Israel to get more preparation to go for bigger attack to Hamas, Houthi, Hezbollah and other militant countries in the Middle East. Mr. Norman, what is your personal opinion regarding this? Because we have seen the tactics and the strategy of the United Presidents this time is different. He says one thing, he does another thing. He indicates one thing, he orders another thing. And inside his party, he is becoming weakened because Republicans in both houses are becoming divided.
Yes, again, good morning. In regards to our President Trump's strategy, first thing, our administration is a party of one, meaning the president dictates the standards, the policies, and procedures, and Congress, the House, his cabinet follows. So he do not ask permission. He sets out the agenda and strategy. There's a lot of bait and switch. You know, I'm looking to the left, but I'm moving to the right. So there's a strategic purpose to that. The situation is that Hamas wants to end the war. They want to stop. They want to continue. The hostage situation is the leverage they want to use. They want to basically say, hey, you stop bombing me, you stop killing us, you stop killing the people, you leave the country, we will give you the hostage back. We will give you the hostage back, we'll give you the people back, and we can coexist. The interesting part is going to be how do the Prime Minister of Israel and the people of Israel take that? Do they value the people lives, or do they want the land? So that is going to be the point right now. The linchpin is basically getting the hostage back and maintaining their integrity. Hamas is not going away. They're going to be somewhere doing what they're doing. Israel wants to eliminate Hamas. So how do we comfortably coexist? That is the issue.
So it's a big question for the people of America and people of Israel. I have one more relevant question, but it is regarding Russia, Ukraine. As you heard from our international affairs commentator that North Korean leader is going to order an executive order to send around 25 to 30,000 soldiers to fight for Russian people against Ukraine. On the other hand, we know Ukraine is supported by the NATO and not American alliance. What is your impression in this regard? Because it indicates us that Russia is going to intensify its attack to Ukraine to give a message to the NATO that Russia is going to win this war and going to calculate what is the takeaway from this war.
Yes, as I mentioned yesterday about the situation in Ukraine and Russia is a very interesting factor that came to me. The Pentagon has put out a statement that they are going to reduce, again, listen, reduce the amount of munition and supplies and equipment to Ukraine. The reason for it is that the stated reason is that we want to basically look at our stockpile. We found out that our weapon stockpile is low. We need to replenish that, and we also have other issues going on in the world that we need to look at. So we're going to see a step back from the United States support of Ukraine, which is causing conflict with Ukraine, because they have to now re-strategize how they're going to continue this war. At the same time, we know that there are back channel conversations. There's this could possibly be a situation where it forces Ukraine to come to the table, but it also empowers Russia to move about the region. So it looks like the chess game is starting to fall in place. Checkmate is coming soon.
Mr. Norman, very articulated and very well described. I really liked the way you give the opinion and you give the description about a particular issue. So much respect for your professionalism and your experience. Please stay with us, and production, please keep him in line, because we have a debate on a particular subject, which is I already said to our international affairs commentator that, you see, NATO this time in the Hague meeting, they did not raise the issue of Iran and Israel, Israel and Hamas, Israel and Hezbollah. They focused on Ukraine and Russia. But what resolution has come for Zelensky? I mean for the people of Ukraine? This is question number 1 to you, Tevil, and to Dr. Nasis Tevil, as well as we have seen that President Trump is very focused on Iran issue, because there is a news has been broken by Wall Street Journal that is very interesting, that US airstrikes reportedly delayed on Iran's nuclear program. It was programmed before, but United Presidents Commander-in-Chief took the advantage of Israel-Iran war to drop that bomb, but the plan was earlier. Wall Street Journal says that. What is your comment on that?
Well, I mean, there was the 5 round of talk right before this, and of course America was keeping it in the cards that if Iran were to increase its hostilities, they would step in to aid Israel. And as per your previous question, the NATO summit that happened in The Hague, most of it focused on their spending budget, the 5% increase, the 5% GDP allocation towards every nation's military advancements and security up until the year 2035. This is to strengthen the NATO alliance in the face of the Russian aggression, if you would call it. Of course, Donald Trump was seen at the summit as well, and most of the issues that the reporters even asked him was regarding the Ukraine-Russia war, on the hindsight of Iran and Israel's escalation. Apart from this, I will add on to something that Mr. Norman Ford Barnes picked up, a reduce of supply of munitions to Ukraine. Earlier on in the year, when Volodymyr Zelensky visited the Oval Office, Donald Trump had sort of bullied him into a corner, saying, "Why are you fighting this unnecessary war? You know that you will concede defeat to Russia. You're a puny nation in comparison. You should realign your priorities in the face of the Ukrainian people." And of course, Volodymyr Zelensky himself is now the wartime president of Ukraine, and is doing his best to make sure that Ukraine can stay as an independent sovereign nation. And this is where the NATO summit is also coming in. When NATO and the European alliances realized that Volodymyr Zelensky is not being able to garner such kind of support from the Trump administration, they have all decided that their mutual cooperation and military advancements with Ukraine is necessary, because if Russia were allowed to take over Ukraine, that would have a spillover effect inside the continent itself. And this is where the other European nations think about their surroundings before understanding the US perspectives onto the matter.
Right. Dr. Nasir, would you mind to tell us a little from your experience regarding the future of NATO? Because in NATO meeting in Hague, Spain revolt. Spain says we cannot carry the order by United States, prescription by the White House, that 5% of our GDP will be spending for our security. We are agree only for 2%. This has become as an astonishing declaration in the NATO meeting, and European leaders got divided. My question is, do you find any potential of NATO right this moment, because NATO could not do anything for Zelensky?
Yeah, that is the very eye-catching point for the entire world community, that what was the promise to Ukraine from the NATO side, because at the very outset they could surrender, or they could come for a negotiation, they could go for a understanding between Russia and others forces. But surprisingly, NATO was always backing Ukraine and trying to continue the war. But now the NATO, the way they have helped Ukraine, that is not enough to withstand a war against a force like Russia. And right at this moment, again, the NATO countries, they are under pressure from two sides. Number one, their own countrymen are now asking that what you are doing. Inside the country, there is a criticism that if the NATO as a whole cannot support one single country to withstand pressure of Russia, then what is the reason of this existence of NATO? The entire NATO cannot save one country. So what this will do if Russia goes against another NATO country, which is already a member? Ukraine is not a member now. So NATO as a whole could not do anything within 3 years significant, anything I should not say, I should say anything significant for Ukraine within 3 years. Now this is a big question, that what in that case the NATO is going to do if Russia takes over any other country of NATO family. So that is one criticism from the internal political side. At the same time, now somebody is dictating from outside what should be the defense budget of an independent country, whether it should be 2%, 3% or 5%. That is also a big, they can disgrace for an independent sovereign country. That my country, my people are paying taxes and my president or my parliament cannot take decision that what should be the defense budget. It is coming from other countries. So what is the meaning of such independence and sovereignty? So altogether, NATO is in a complex situation, and I will not be surprised if there is already some of the countries are now thinking of
Turkey
Yeah.
already has given some indication that he will not support NATO for every single will until the interest of all NATO members will be preserved.
Correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will go for a break, but before go for a break, I want to give an indication to Mr. Norman. He is in Washington, he is joining us, contributing us, and my question would be very diplomatic. You see, if we look at the OPEC is divided. If we look at the ASEAN is divided. If we look at the NATO is divided. SAARC is divided. My question is, what is United Nations, the all countries table is doing? And it seems that United Nations is doing nothing, OPEC is doing nothing, ASEAN is doing nothing, WISE is doing nothing, NATO is doing nothing, only one man is controlling the whole world. This is Donald Trump. Why? This question will be for Norman after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As I was telling that I will ask a question after the break to Mr. Norman from Washington DC, that we see all good organizations are doing nothing for the peace of the planet. One man is interfering everywhere. This is Donald Trump, and it is an indication that world is still controlled by the world's most superpower, United States of America, and making all the organization, sometimes some commentators say, is useless. Norman, what would be your answer, because you are a proud American citizen?
Yes, the issue with United Nations has been brought up before by the administration, particularly the Trump administration. The actual relevance of it is being questioned. Is the United Nations a necessary function Are they providing what they mandated to do? Can they man the ceasefire? Can they control situations? Can they help the overall mankind? For the most part, the review on this side is that the United Nations has become an unnecessary instrument in the future of the world. Their ability to interject and have impact, positive impact on these conflicts that's going on right now has been minimal, if any. So the question is, again, questions come up again, what is your function? Redefine the scope of work. Can you contribute, or do we decide to pull out? There's questions, actually there's comments about actually, do we want to participate? The United States administration is currently looking at, do we need to participate in it, or we can do it ourselves? You mentioned Mr. Trump being the dominant figure in this thing. The plan forward, actually the projected plan is that we can move on working with individual countries and do things that the United Nations can't do or have the ability to help. So I'm looking at a phasing out period, a replacement, a redirection, or maybe even retitle or rename it, or something that works more for where we're going, not where we've been.
So, Mr. Norman, just one more supplement questions. Do you find any potential that the ceasefire of Hamas and Israel will be really happen, and people will see that President Donald Trump has become able to make this ceasefire? Will it be for 60 days or for long time?
As I mentioned yesterday, the 60-day ceasefire is a pause. It will be a pause until this situation is resolved. The two-state solution has to be resolved. Until that happens, we will have pauses on and off situation. But the point is, Israel and Palestine, I call Palestine, but Israel and Gaza, has to make a decision. Do they coexist or dissolve?
So,
That's
Mr. Norman,
going to be the hinge.
Mr. Norman, thank you very, very much. We are running shortage of time, and thank you very much once again. I hope we will again see you on Sunday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend, Mr. Norman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's come back to Dr. Nasir. Dr. Nasir, see, United States is imposing tariffs on so many countries, on China, on even Bangladesh. Bangladesh got a pause by the request of our chief advisor for 3 months, but ultimately after 90 days it will come back. He has pushed on a tariff to Russia, to other countries like South Africa, Bolivia, Brazil, so many countries. And today's news is US President Donald Trump has paused 20% tariffs on, imposed 20% tariffs on Vietnam. Vietnam is one of the largest, one of the country that they have the largest exporting market to United States, right, including making iPhone, including making American chips and other so many things. What do you think? He is trying to weakening the countries who are emerging?
I have rightly pointed out, first of all, that Vietnam was destroyed by the Americans during the war. And at the same time...
But they have lost the battle in Vietnam.
Yeah, they have lost the battle in Vietnam. And in military study, it is said they first lost the battle in Washington, then in Vietnam. Because the Washington press and press media, that is the strength of media again, that are a different discussion. The press and media did not support American cause of fighting the Vietnam War. That's why it was first lost in Washington, then in Vietnam. That is a separate issue. But we are encouraged the way Americans were encouraging the entrepreneurs of the Vietnam, that a country, war-based country, it was quite coming up brilliantly, with brilliant ideas, with tremendous workforce, with liberal policy and everything, good brands like Nike and other very, very Microsoft chips, as you have said, very internationally reputed and acclaimed companies had been shifting towards Vietnam. Even it was at times China was under threat, that if Vietnam flourishes like this, their interest is probably going to be hampered. And that's why everybody was focusing towards Vietnam. But surprisingly, why this gentleman coming to the power has now imposed so much of tariff? Was it his election mandate or not? Nobody knows. Nobody questions even. As the Norman had rightly said, everybody is trying to please him. The Republicans, they are trying to please him. But collectively, they are criticizing. As you have said about the mega bill, though Trump calls it a big, beautiful bill in his language. But, you know, in the Senate, there was a tie, and the Vice President had to work down, break the tie. It was in a limbo for quite some time. And House of Representatives is yet to give its consent or the majority vote for the pass. So this is how unitedly the public representatives, they are not in favor of the president's so much of tax imposition and other things, because ultimately it pinches their economy. Okay.
I just want to pick one line from you and from Norman, that everybody is trying to please Donald Trump. And some commentators says, according to the United States Constitution, one person cannot be the president for 3 times. Somebody is claiming that there will be some changes, might be changes in American Constitution, that he can run for the 3rd time. This critical question for Shamsul Alam Pantha for you, because you have studied on American Constitution as well.
Well, similar terms for Barack Obama as well. He was there for 2 terms, and of course after that, as per the law, there hasn't been a president to run for a 3rd term as well. And you know, Donald Trump does receive both support and criticism as well. The latest, I know that the big beautiful bill, or the mega bill, is advancing into the final stage for a yes or no vote. Of course, Independence Day is July 4th. It's a national holiday in America, and whether or not it will be taken by the general public over there, and how they will react to this of this bill going through, it may cause division amongst various states in America. In similar terms, Washington and New York City seem to be trading some blows, specifically Donald Trump and Zohran Mamdani. Now, they both have different views on world affairs, but Mr. Zohran Mamdani is a 33-year-old, very young guy, and he is soon to be the representative of, mayoral representative for New York. Of course, there has been other candidates who are following him, but he is by far now the most popular. And Donald Trump, as you know, in various cities, various locations, he had carried on anti-immigration or immigrant issues, in which he has seen deported thousands of people back into their home countries. And he has threatened to do the same to Mr. Zohran Mamdani as well. So he has been naturalized. He has been there from 2008, and he's a natural citizen of the US. The Donald Trump's administration is planning on to strip him of his citizenship, denaturalize him, and having him deported. So such a comment coming from the chief or the leader of America's greatest house definitely signals to us that in the coming following weeks, there might be some kind of internal conflicts taking place in the great American nation.
United States, there's every media is predicting such, because being a commander-in-chief, he is commenting on social media regarding a particular political, it's a bad side of the democracy, dark side of the democracy, domination on the democracy. Sir, I want to come to South Asia. See, last 11 months we have seen how Indian media is doing dirty news about Bangladesh, dirty pictures they are showing to the world about Bangladesh. We have seen how the relation between Dhaka and New Delhi has gone far, and we have seen what India is doing against Bangladesh On the other hand, Bangladesh is still doing moderate diplomacy. Professor Muhammad Yunus is trying to convey a message that might be Bangladesh is a small country, but we should have a respectful bilateral relationship between these two neighboring countries. I just want to get the comment from Dr. Nasir. He is a very senior person, very highly educated person and experience in military bordering issues. He has know how to deal with India. They they push their media against Bangladesh, they push their politicians against Bangladesh, they push their business policies against Bangladesh. Is it possible to stay together, but we cannot change our neighbor?
Yeah, that is a famous saying. You can change your family members, but you cannot change your neighbor. That is universal truth. And we will have to stay in this country, and at the same time we will have to stay raising our head. We cannot, as a sovereign country, as a nation, we should not bow our head to anyone. And you know, in the Bangladesh Military Academy, the only single motto that is instilled every mind of the young officers is, ever high is my head. In Bangla Chiro Unnato Mamoshir. So that is the spirit, the border forces or the army as a whole that we bear. But surprisingly, you know, that this is our few of the, you know, derailed generals and derailed politicians, they probably were purchased. That is the most shocking part of the country, that we earned our freedom, we earned our independence through blood. It is not the mercy of anybody, or it was not achieved by cross-table talks.
And it was not a gift.
It was not a gift. We earned it through blood and through our sweat. And how this country was treated by by a neighbor over 15 to 16 years we have seen, and the alarming news is coming every day. On contrary, you can see, as you have rightly said, Indian media, instead of keeping mum, instead of appreciating the development taking place in Bangladesh, they are now all out war, I can say, through their media
approach is
sector.
very dirty.
And not only that, you see, their very approaches, they have blocked the seaports for the air cargo that they have blocked. They have blocked the import facilities towards the Seven Sisters for our products, jute products, then the the food products and other things. So everywhere, and they have the treatment facilities of the India, that is also under serious pressure now. So everywhere they have, I can say that they have gone all out to destabilize Bangladesh and to disturb the present government. And for the present government, the weakest point is that, as I said, they have not come through a political, the consensus. It is a revolutionary government, you can say, and whenever there is a free and fair vote and a government is elected by the free fair vote, internationally accepted vote, that time they have a very strong voice that I am committing to my people, so I cannot do this, or my people interest comes first, so I will have to do it, whatever you say.
Sir, thank you so much. Very, very well explained. I just want 30 seconds comments from Shamsul Alam Panto. What would be your message to the media, because you belong a media business? What would be your message? How to tackle all this dirty campaign against Bangladesh?
Well, media should remain to be the voice of the both parties. In any story, there's also always two sides of the story. It is up to the viewers and up to the general population to understand which part of the story they want to consume. And of course, you mentioned our bordering country, India. I would like to say that Bangladesh had cleared almost 400 million in dues to the Adani Power Consortium in India. Very recent news. Of course, Bangladesh now has a far greater standing than it used to have before. And there is no chance, absolutely no chance of our neighbors having any kind of power complexity with us, them thinking they're superior and always invoking that we are inferior to them. So that kind of notion should be thrown out.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, both of you, and special gratitude to Mr. Norman as well from Washington. Before I conclude, I want to share one of my personal and national thought to my audience. Bangladesh is a brave nation. Bangladesh is a great nation. Bangladesh will be a country that other countries will follow, because we have proven our economy from basketless, bottomless basket to one of the South Asian emerging nation. Bangladesh will never compromise its sovereignty, its national security, its national integrity and national growth. Bangladesh is in the right track and is in the right hand. Before I conclude, I want to just wish a happy birthday to Tom Cruise, iconic Hollywood actor who has become very famous. He will turn into 63 today. And there is one more, congratulations to the people of Belarus, they have National Day today. We will see you on Sunday.